Today, I'm going to go over sightings of what native tribes in Canada call the Nakani, and what early Western explorers called the wild man. Now, I'm sure if asked today about Bigfoot, most people would probably say that it doesn't exist, as we have yet to obtain proof. But some zoologists wonder, thanks to the discovery of Gigantopithecus, what if a creature like Bigfoot, at one time in the not-so-distant past, did actually live in North America? Almost every Native American tribe, if not every single one of them, has stories that have been passed down for thousands of years about a large, hairy, bipedal animal that lives in the woods. And even some of the first Western explorers claimed to see them. So it makes me wonder, what if many years ago they flourished? What if at one time in the past there were tens of thousands of them living deep in the forest? But today, what if they're on the verge of extinction? And this is why we've never found a body, because there's so few of them left, and they're just really good at hiding from us. Now, I'm sure most of you know about Gigantopithecus, the massive ape that lived in Asia that died out around 100,000 years ago, according to mainstream science. But to this day, we've only found 4 jawbones of their species. So here we have a massive ape that roamed the earth for millions of years, but yet all we have found is 4 of their jawbones. I just find that highly fascinating. So just because we have yet to find a skeleton, or bones of a creature like Bigfoot, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. But yes, we've also found a lot of teeth of Gigantopithecus over the years. But I wonder, what if Bigfoot teeth are just so similar to that of a human that no one considers that it might just be the tooth of an unknown primate? Maybe one day in the near future, an expert will be exploring a cave, or just walking in the woods in North America, when he or she stumbles upon a tooth that will prove once and for all that Bigfoot does, or did exist. The Dene people, who we talked about in my last video, have legends of a creature that resembles a Sasquatch, and the Dene believe that they live in and around the Nani Valley, and they call these creatures the Nakani. They describe the Nakani as a hairy, powerful monster twice the size of a man that live in caves. In 1950, an explorer, Philip Godsoul, wrote a book called The Curse of the Dead Man's Valley. Philip spent a lot of time with the Dene people, and he learned all about the Nakani. In his book, he stated, "The country was taboo, and recalled their superstitions that it was haunted by a race of prehistoric troglodytes, or Nakanis as they called them. The Nakanis had repulsive gargoyle-like faces who lived in caves cut from the living rock. Creatures reported to be twice the size of ordinary humans, who never missed a chance to carry off unwary hunters or stray squaws in their powerful gorilla-like arms." Another Western explorer, Alexander Mackenzie, also spent a lot of time with the Dene people, and they told him that there was a wild man, the Nakani, who would stalk and harass their camps at night. But the Dene believed that these creatures were afraid of their campfire, so as long as they didn't venture into the woods at night, they would be safe. But they always felt that they were being watched by these creatures. And Mackenzie stated that to the Dene people, the Nakani were just as real to them as coyotes and bears were, and they went to great lengths to avoid crossing paths with them. So here we have a tribe that lived in North America for thousands of years that believed without a shadow of a doubt that a creature like Bigfoot did exist, and they were terrified of them. One of the earliest explorers to write about the Nakani was a man named Father Emil. Father Emil wrote that every summer, a fear would spread amongst the native tribes like an epidemic. They lived at times in continual terror of an imaginary enemy who pursues them without rest and who they believe to see everywhere, even though he doesn't exist at all. Now, I find it hard to believe that the native people who have lived here for thousands of years would be afraid of a creature that doesn't exist, although I guess it could be possible. But just because someone has yet to see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. In Central Africa, tribes kept telling Western explorers about these large hairy wild men that lived out in the jungle. But Western explorers didn't believe them. They thought they were talking about a mythical creature. But then one day, an explorer saw one and he couldn't believe it. Could you imagine coming face to face with a silverback and not previously knowing they were real? What a shock that must have been. And to this day, the gorilla is one of the greatest zoological discoveries of all time, as they are the largest living primate on Earth. And we never knew they existed up until 170 years ago, which really just blows my mind. You would have thought that maybe the Romans would have encountered them. Now it is fascinating that not one empire outside of Central Africa knew about this massive animal. Well, except for the Carthaginians. The Carthaginians did once have an encounter with gorillas, but they thought they were humans, and they ended up killing them because they were just too violent. Now going back to the Nakani, there was another explorer, Cornelius Osgood, who spent some time with the Dene people. And he stated that on several occasions he witnessed them scared out of their minds because they thought a Nakani was nearby. So the Dene left to an island that was in the middle of a lake. And they were just so scared by this Nakani that they didn't even pack up their stuff. They just fled there as fast as they could. And this island was their sanctuary. They believed that the Nakani was afraid of the water. And it is true that primates don't like to swim. Some can, but most will go to great lengths to avoid being in water. Now once the Dene got their hands on some muskets, it was reported that they would now stand their ground and just shoot their muskets into the woods, hoping that the gunfire would scare them away, or that maybe they would get lucky and shoot them dead. Now to this day, the Dene still fear the Nakani, but I'm guessing not nearly as much as they used to, as it seems according to these reports that they always used to be on edge. They truly lived in fear of these creatures. And like I said earlier, I wonder if the Nakani, Bigfoot, is on the verge of extinction. We still have sightings of them today, but it seems according to the native people that the Nakani used to have a much larger population. Even the Vikings, when they came here to the Americas 1,000 years ago, also claimed to have encountered them, but they called them the Skellring. And according to this article, the Vikings described these creatures as huge hairy men that towered over them, and at times they could hear them shrieking from the woods. They also said they had large black eyes and that they smelled terrible. Now this sounds exactly like Bigfoot, and the Vikings, who were not even here for that long, claimed to see these creatures on multiple occasions. So it makes me wonder, what if the early European explorers, equipped with their rifles in hand, killed a lot of the Nakani? And maybe because they thought they were humans, large hairy humans, they just never talked about it, as they didn't want to get into trouble. Or what if our germs killed the Nakani? According to my quick Google research, we can pass our diseases on to apes. We know our germs almost wiped out the Native Americans. Well, what if we almost wiped out Bigfoot too? And the few that remain today make sure to stay well hidden from us. Now, while I was researching this video, I stumbled upon this article that has a ton of information about the Dene people and their encounters with the Nakani. And I'll link this article in the description. The author, Hammerson Peters, did a ton of research on this subject. I only covered a fraction of it. So make sure to go check out his video. It's very good and packed with a ton of information about the Nakani. And next month, I'm going to make a part 2, as there is a lot more that I want to cover. Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned.